Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be building the homepage of the Rivian website. There are chapters on this video and the timestamps are in the description, so if you want to know how to make a specific part, you can always skip ahead. So let me just describe briefly what we're going to be doing. So this is the nav bar, and if we click on here, we get this menu that pops up, right? And as you hover on each of these links, an image pops up to the right. So this is the nav bar that we're going to build. Then next up we have like this hero kind of carousel thing. So like there's a caption here. And then we have these arrows to navigate. So if I click this, we move on to the next image in the carousel with a different caption. There we go. And yeah. Then we have this kind of vehicle section. So how this works is as you hover, the images change. Like this. Yep. And then we have these buttons. There. Then there's like this video playing in the background, and as you hover onto the video, your cursor changes into this nice circle, and then there's a link. Now as you scroll to this next section, you can see that as you scroll down, this kind of image just rotates as you're scrolling, and when you hover over these article cards, right, this arrow pops up, and if you hover over the image, both the arrow and the image widen. So like this, like this. Then we have another carousel with pretty much the same thing, but just photos. And then these are kind of like the story section. So as you hover, again, a different image comes up, and we have this arrow and again a button, and then down here we have the footer. So as you hover, the links, and then these social media icons. So that's about it, and let's just get started. Let's just get right into it. The first thing we are going to build is the nav bar. So as you guys can see here, when we click on it, we have this like little animation with the cross, but then also as you hover over these nav links, a different image pops up to the right every time. So as you can see, you hover over them just like that, and then when you close this, the animation goes out. So this is what we're gonna build. So the first thing I want to do is scroll down and find the nav bar element. And then I'm gonna get rid of this, take everything out of this container, and instead just replace it with a div. So I'll drag in a div block, place everything in here inside of the div block. Okay, so I'm gonna give this nav bar a class of nav bar, display flex, center it, and justify in the middle. And then I will give it a width of 100% and a height of 10 VH. Scroll down and give the change the background to a transparent one instead. And then I'm going to grab this div block that we have, give it a width of, or give it a class of nav, give it a width of 95%, set it to display flex and space between, or let's space around, let's just hit space between and center. Then we are going to actually mess with the navbar settings for a second and hit menu always appear, because as you can see, regardless of the screen size, the menu button is always there. So now that that's done, let us go and change this menu button. So as you can see, our menu button has only 2 lines, and we can't do the animation with the built-in icon that Webflow gives us. So I'm going to get rid of that. And instead, I am going to drag in a div block. Drag in a div block, give it a class of line 1, give it a width of 30 pixels, a height of 1 pixel, maybe even 2 pixels, and then change the background color to black. That looks about right. I will make another one of this. Duplicate the class and just call this line 2. Oh, and we should probably give them some margin so that they aren't pushed up against each other. So 30 pixels margin on line 1. Maybe we make that 15. I think even that looks like a bit too much. How about just 10? Yep, that looks good. Perfect. Now, before I do anything else, I might as well drag in the Rivian logo. Just gonna put that in there. Okay, perfect. Now, however, let's do the animation. So when you click, the animation that pops up, that's what we want to do. So I am going to click on the menu button and then open up the element trigger, and on mouse click, we want to start an animation called menu open. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to click on a line 1, rotate it 45 degrees, 45 degrees, move it 2 pixels up or down actually. Then we're going to select line 2, rotate it negative 45 degrees, and then we are just going to move that up negative 8 pixels. Place that after this. Let's see, how does that look like? That still looks a bit wonky. Let me make that negative 9 pixels, negative 10. Let's see now. Yeah, that looks better. So that's what we want. So let's go into my preview mode, click on this. Okay, so that looks good, except when we close it again, when we try to close it again, you see that it doesn't revert back. So that's what we're going to do now. We are going to go on second click, start another animation, and call this menu close. And all we have to do is just return all of them to their original state. So line 1 gets rotated back to 0 degrees, and then it gets moved back to its original spot, so just make that 0. Select line 2, rotate it, place, and then move it also back to 0 pixels. Okay, so now if we save and click on it, okay, perfect. So the next thing that I want to do is get rid of this background color. So I'm just gonna scroll down here and make that transparent. Okay, perfect. Now I'm gonna grab this nav menu and give it a class of nav menu wrapper. It's gonna be displayed flex with the 100% and a height of 90 VH, because our nav bar up here was 10 VH, so 100 minus 10 is 90. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then I am going to give it a background color of 1F, 1F, 1F. Okay, so this dark, almost black color. Okay, and then inside of here, I will drag in another div, and I'll call this nav menu. And then I'll just place all of the links inside of here. Nav menu. The nav menu will also be displayed flex, but vertically. Or actually, it should be horizontal. What am I saying? So horizontal and like this, and that's good. Okay. And I'll just give it a width of 100 VW and a height of 100%. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in another div, and I'll call this one nav links. Okay, I'll give this a width of 50%, and I'll put all these nav links inside of here. If only it would just, okay, there. Let me just change the color of these. So grab the nav link and give it a class. Change the color, make it completely white. Give all of them the same class. We'll change the fonts and stuff in just a second, but just for us to be able to see where these are right now. Okay, there. So we have these. They are 50%, 90 VH, and we're gonna give it some padding. So 30 pixels to the left and to the right. And then some more, like 40 pixels maybe at the top. Now I'm gonna give this a font of Robotomono, which isn't here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on this font, and we're gonna hit to add fonts. Now what Webflow lets you do is it lets you import fonts that are available in Google Fonts and also your own custom ones. But our font, Robotomono, that we're going to be using is available in Google Fonts. So all you have to do is just type in Roboto. Should be down there. Where is it? Robotomono, right there. I don't really remember which ones we're going to use, so I'm just going to get all of them. We don't need the italic ones, definitely not. Then just hit add font. And then all we have to do now is just reload. Or give it a second to save. There. And then reload. Now if we let's first open up our navbar. Let's hit that to do anything. Show there. Grab our nav link. And if we go down here and now we try to change the font, there we go, it works. So we're gonna give it a bigger font size, 28 pixels. And then I am going to change the, actually not even white, let's make it like another gray, C4, 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 like that. And then what else? Now we just have to change the names. Let me just open this up just for reference. R1T, R1S, and Gear Shop. 1T, R1S, and Gear Shop. I'll just make, how many more do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's this one called? Fleet Experience. Our company stories. Our company story. I cannot type today. Stories. I believe it's support. Yes, support. And sign in. Okay, so these are all the colors we want. And also, as you can see, when we hover on them, an underline pops up. So let's just work on that. So click on any of them, right? Because they all have the same class. Select this like drop down and hit hover. Then we just have to hit on hover. We just, yeah, click on the underline option. Then if we get rid of the hover thing and then we, there, that works perfectly. Now also, we have this kind of divider in between, and these two are in a smaller font size, right? So here's how we do that. I am just going to, between these last two, drag in another div block. So right here, yeah, give it a class of navbar divider. And then I will set the width to be 100%, give it a height of 2 pixels, give it some margin at the top, 12 pixels, some margin at the bottom, 24 pixels, and then I am going to change the background color because that's how we're going to achieve this. So 4F, and 4F. There. And that's it. Now we're going to get the second nav link, and we have to make the font size smaller, right? So we're going to give it a combo class of type 2. Give it some, change the size, actually make it 20 pixels instead of 28, and give it some margin at the bottom, 70. Give it the same combo class, type 2. Might actually even make that a bit more, maybe like 80, 90. Let's just go 100. Yep, that looks good to me. Okay, perfect. Okay, now the next thing that we have to do is these backgrounds part. So I'm just gonna close out this nav links, drag in another div underneath that, not inside of there, underneath that. Give it a class of nav backgrounds. Background with an S, width of 50%, a height of 90 VH. And then we are going to drag in another div inside of here, call this nav background first, a width of 100%, and a height of 100%. And this is what we're going to do. So we are just going to bring in this background image. So go down, find the image section, just going to find that. I think that's this one there. And then we have to hit cover and then center. Okay. Okay, perfect. Now, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. So make another nav background first, hit Control C, Control V, and scroll down here. Okay, so, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this class and just call it nav background. The reason I made one called nav background first was because that's going to be helpful later on when we're doing the animations. But right now this is just going to be called nav background, and this is the second link, which is known as R1S. So just going to give a class of R1S, get rid of this R1T thing, grab the R1S image, which I don't know which one it is. Okay, let's see. Okay, this one with the desert. Maybe I'll even center it. There we go. Because we want the car to be in the picture, you know? That's what it's all about. Okay, make another one. I'm going to call this one, what is the next one? Gear shop. So get rid of this, what do you call it? This combo class. Going to find gear shop, which is the one with the bicycle. Gear shop. Get rid of this one. Find the one with the bicycle, and that is this one. Cover and also center to the middle. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going this way. So fleet, remove, just call it fleet. Grab the next background image, which I know looks like this one. Center it, and all these are going to be eventually on top of each other, but right now for us to be able to see all of them, we're just going to leave them like this. Experience is the next one. Experience. I don't even know what the image is for this one. Oh, it's this. Okay. Yeah, okay. It's the second one with the bicycle so far. bicycle, cover, center. There. 2 more, just 2 more. This is the tedious part. Company. And where is that? What does our company look like? Okay, the one with the guy skiing. Got it. And then finally, I think we have 1 more left, which is stories. Yes, stories. And come on, let's see which one is stories. It's this one. Okay, where's that? Finally, hit cover. Okay, there. For when we get to the, click on the R1S one, right? So the first one in here. Get rid of this background, this, what do you call it? This combo class just for a second. Remove that. And what we're going to do is we are going to set the opacity down to 0 for all of them. And now that we have the opacity set to 0, all we have to do is hit position absolute, and then we're going to go back to this nav backgrounds and set that position to be relative. Now everything should technically be on there. Bring back the R1S combo class. Yep, so now that's all on there, right? And then we just have to click on the nav background first, so the first one, and hit position absolute on that one too, and then you notice that you can't scroll anymore. That's because this one's on top again, and everything else has an opacity of 0, but if we bring that opacity up, you can see that it's visible, but we want that opacity to be at 0. Okay, perfect. Now it's time to do the actual animations. So grab the first link. We're gonna go here, make a new animation on mouse hover, call this nav link 1, and I'm capitalizing these because these are like distinct animations, right? Because we're gonna be making one for every link. So we want to like be able to separate these from the rest of the animations that we will make later on in this video. Okay, so first thing that I'm going to do is open both of these up. Okay, find this first background, right? Because we're hovering over the first link right now. I'm going to give it an opacity of 100. Okay, because it's already at an opacity of 100, but if, for example, I hover over this and I want to come back to this one, I want to be able to, yeah, okay. Then we select the second link, and it's going to be a little bit different from this link and on, so we're going to call this nav link 2. Select the second background, right? And then we're going to set the opacity. We're going to hit initial state 0%. And then we're going to hit opacity 100 after that. So save, do the same thing for all of these. So nav link 3, right? Grab the third one. Opacity should be 0 at initial state. And then it should be 100 later. Save. A couple more to do. Nav link 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Grab the fourth one. Opacity 0, set as initial state. And just the same thing. Nav link 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Says initial state. Almost done, almost done. 2 more left. Grab this one. This is nav link 6. Grab the 6th one. Down to 0. Not filter. Get rid of that. Opacity up to 100. And then finally, our last one, nav link 7. Last image, grab that, opacity 0, says initial, back to 100. Save. Now, let us close out this nav bar. Why does it have that background color? Let's go and change that. Oh, yep. Make that fully 0. There. Now let's click on it. Let's see. As we hover, okay, it's working. But if, say, we want to hover on something else, it doesn't work. So here's how we fix that. So grab this, open up the nav bar again, and then let's click on the first one, or let's go on the second one actually, for no reason except for a bit of a difference, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna call this nav link hover out, and we're gonna use the same thing for all of the nav links. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grab any element of the nav background class, right, and set the opacity down to 0. The reason this works is that what this is saying is that when you hover on any of those links, right, as soon as you hover out, all of the elements with the class of nav background, right, not just the combo class. Let me just search up the one without the combo class, right, that has a combo class, nav background. Just want the basic one right there, right? All the elements with this class, which is everything except for the first one, right, we want all of those to fade away, which is exactly what we're asking for, right? Because we just want this nav background to be there when we first, like when we hover out, like we want this to be the default one. So here's how we do that. If I hit save, and I just have to do this for all of them, so nav link 1, go back and find that same hover out animation. Hover out, this one, hover out, hover out, 2 more, almost there, last one. Okay, let's see. Now if I close up this nav bar, hide, and then I preview, open, now if I hover over any of these, and if I hover out, you can see that that happens. So let's say I hover out of this one, right, it goes back to the default. But if I hover from the fleet to the gear shop, perfect. Okay, so that was the nav bar. The next part is this hero carousel section. Last time we left off with this nav bar, so that, you know, when you clicked on it, do this animation and these images would come up, you know. But today we're going to start building, or now actually, depending on when you're watching this, we're going to be building this this carousel. So as you click these images, yeah, it's just a simple carousel. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start by dragging in a div block. I'll switch to the classes, right, and I'll call this carousel. Give it a width of 100% and a height of 100 VH. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in a slider element. So just scroll down until you find that. There. Put that inside of here. And okay, there. So for this slider, I'm going to give it a class of slider. width of 100%, a height of 100%. And actually what I want this to do is, if you look here, you see that the navbar, it sits over the actual carousel itself. So to do that, we just have to set the navbar to be positioned absolutely. So it's on top, right? And then we just set this navbar to be 100% width, just like that. And I'm just going to test it to make sure it still works. And yep, that looks pretty good to me. Okay, so moving back to our carousel. Okay, so I am going to go into here, slides, and I'll give each of these slides a different or a class. So slide 1, right? Change the background image for slide 1. I'm going to make it this. I'm going to hit cover, and I'm just going to center it. Just like that. Yep. Okay, perfect. And then I'm just going to keep doing this. So for slide 2, for example, or why did I type in slide 3? Slide 2, I'll change the background, make it carousel 2, cover, center. Now we can't really see that, but we'll fix that in just a second. So I'll just make a couple more, right? So I'll duplicate this. This is slide 3, right? Get rid of this. Pick the third image, hit cover again. Same thing for all of them. We can change these settings later on if we want. So slide 4, I duplicated it, right? Gonna get rid of that, and slide 4. Perfect. In the center, just like that. Okay, and the next thing we want to do is design this caption aspect of it, right? So here's how we do that. I am going to drag in a div block into a slide. Let's start with the first one, right? Call the slide text wrapper. Okay, I'll make it 100%, so I want to take up the entire thing, right? And I'm gonna set display flex to this, align it to the bottom, and yes, I want it to be horizontal actually. So I'm going to align it to the bottom, and I'll space between. Now you'll see in a second why it's space between. Yep. Okay. So justified between there. That looks about right. And then I'm going to drag in some text. So this text block element, place it inside the slide text wrapper, and I'll call this slide text. Yep. And I am going to, so right now it's all the way at this bottom, right? So we just want to move it up a little bit and to the right. So here's how we do that. We give it some margin here, some margin here, and there you go. So I will change the color of this font for a second. So I need it to be Roboto again, make it white, and then I'm going to give it a black background, fully black, right? But I want to give it some space around, because if you look here, you see there's some space around the black background, right? So we're going to give it 20 pixels padding on all sides, I think. 20. Maybe 20 is a little bit much. Let's see. I'll increase the font size a little bit, like that, and I'll make it 10. How about that? 10 at the top and the bottom, and 20 to the right and the left. Okay, what does that first text say? Preserving the natural world forever. There, perfect. Okay, now we just have to repeat this for all the slides. So copy, paste that into slide 2, slide 3, and slide 4. Now, because we want to change the text on all the slides, what we have to do, we just have to move the slide 1 over. So what I'm going to do, negative 100 VW, because VW is viewport width, right? So 100 VW would be the entirety of the screen size, right? So if I'm moving it negative 100 VW, I'm just moving it one screen size to the left. That way you can see the next one, like that. So the next one is going to have a caption of the world's first electric truck on the assembly line. Now you can see I'm being lazy and not copying these down, but that's okay. right? Just gonna grab this, move this to negative 200 VH because we want the third one now, right? And then finally, this last one, so I'm just gonna move it negative 300 VH. And I'm going to grab this last one. Now we can put this back to how it was before. So how I did that, by just clicking on it, I hit Alt, and then I clicked where I wanted it to reset, and that's pretty much it. Also, I want to get rid of this slide navigation at the bottom, so I'm just going to hit Display None, because I just don't want to see it. I don't want, yeah. Okay, now, the next thing that I want to do is change these arrows, okay? So the first thing that I want to do is get rid of these icons, because I have my own icons. So I have my left arrow, and then I have my right arrow. Okay, so the left arrow, I'm going to give this a class of left arrow. Okay, maybe we'll be a bit more specific. Let's go left arrow carousel. There. And then I'm going to give it a width of 40 pixels, height of 40 pixels, not 404, 40, just like that. And then I'm going to give it some padding at the top and the bottom. I'll get rid of this margin because we don't want that margin of nothing, right? And I'll give it some padding. So for the top and the bottom, I'll put maybe like 3 pixels. For the left and the right, I'll give it like 10 pixels of padding. And then I'll set the background to be black, like that. And what else? Then I'm going to position it absolutely so that it's over here. So position absolute, right? And then I'll place it all the way at the bottom here. I'll give it 10% at the right, and then maybe 4% at the bottom. 4% at the bottom. How much did I give it here? 3%. So actually, I think I like 4% better. Yeah. Okay, 4% it is. Now, I'm just gonna do the same thing to the right arrow carousel. Actually, rename that again. Let's call it wow, that's in capitals. Okay, carousel right or left arrow. And I'm just gonna duplicate this class. So I'll give this the same class here, carousel left arrow. And then all I'll do is I'll hit duplicate, and I'll just call it right. I'll get rid of this copy part, like that. And instead of having it 10% to the right, I'll just make it 5%. So that way it's closer or more to the right. Yep, okay. Now let's go test this out. Let's see if it works. So we hit left, it goes back here. Perfect, we have images, we have a some captions and these arrows. Okay, I think that's it for the carousel. Next up, we're going to be building this section. So the first thing I'm going to do is change this background color and give it the background of this this square. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that you turn on repeat, so you don't hit on repeat, otherwise it only shows up in one square, but we want it to keep repeating just like that. And then also I'm going to make it fixed. Okay, I also want to give it a background color, so add, go to the end here, hit color, or actually right here at the bottom, color. So just paste it into here. Yep. Oh, I want to say this is a swatch. Create. There. Sorry, I had a voice crack. Okay, so I'm gonna drag in a div block, and as you can see, the padding is working. It's being squished into this space here. Vehicle text, a height of 35%. Set it to also have some padding, or be flex aligned. Give it a flex direction of horizontal, because we want them to be placed between each other, and like that. Okay, now what I'm going to do is drag in a header or a heading element inside of here, and I will call this vehicle text header. Change the font to Verdana. Change the color to black, or a light shade of black. I think that we might already have this saved. No, never mind. Different color. 151515. Add that to the swatches, just like that. Okay. The font. What does the text say here? Vehicles made for the planet. Then I'm going to make it normal, so not bolded. And I'll add some more padding in here actually. So maybe like 50 pixels on both sides. There. That looks about right. What else do we need? We need this paragraph text over here. So I'm going to drag in a paragraph element. Call this vehicle text para. Give it a width of 40% so it's not squished up against this heading. And I will also change the font here, make it Verdana, 16 pixels. Increase the height so there's space between the lines, like that. I'm just going to copy this text, paste it in. Maybe I'll make this center aligned. Yeah. Or, yeah, I'll make a, I'll set it to baseline. Okay, so that's vehicle text. Now I'm going to grab another div, vehicle cards. Gonna set this to be displayed flex. Give it a height of 55% so it takes up more space. And make it horizontal, center aligned, and space between. I'm gonna drag in another div, call this vehicle card. Set it to display flex. Vertical this time. Give it a width of 50% and the height of 100%. Some margin on the left and the right to give some spacing. And I'll make then I'll give it a background color like that. Now there are, oh sorry, let me bring that back. Accidentally X'd out the tab, but what I was trying to say was there are two separate cards. So I am, if I could just get back here. What happened here? Why can't I? Oh, there. That was weird. Okay. So there are two cards, but I'm gonna get everything into this card first so that it's easy to just replace in the other card. Okay, here. So vehicle, right? So we have the title. So I'm gonna grab a heading. Give it a class of vehicle card title. Change the heading type to heading 3 maybe. And then I will position it absolutely and position it to the left. Maybe I should set position relative on the parent element first. There we go, like that. I'll give it 30 pixels at the top, maybe 30 pixels to the side too. Some margin. Change the size of the text. Into Roboto, and just says R1T. Change the color to make it that black that we saw before, like that. And then maybe I'll make it 25 pixels. 22, not 2022, 22. And then what I'll do is I will just type in, what's this other text, starting at $67,000. So starting at $67,000. That's it. And then I'll grab all the stuff that isn't supposed to be bolded, like this, and I'll select this paintbrush. This is a span thing, so vehicle, card, title, span. And I'll just change some of the text around, so I'll make it normal again, maybe even light. Yeah, I'll make this light, and I'll change this to be semi-bold. There. Actually, 20 pixels looks about right. Yep, and I think that's good. Yeah. Then what I want to do is drag in another div, and I'll call this vehicle card images wrapper. Set this to be flex, vertical, and I want it to take up the entire card, so 100% by 100%. And then I will drag in another div, yet another one. Call this one vehicle card image. Give it a height of 95%, and I'll set it to take up how much ever width it needs, right? And then I will set the positioning to absolute. Where's that? Absolute. And then I will display none. But first, let me just bring in the images. Oh, silly me. Get rid of this vehicle card image, and I'm just gonna drag in the image we had before. Why did I do it like that? And then I'll just give this image the class vehicle card image. There we go. Yeah, that was my mistake. Sorry, I apologize. Yes, okay. So I'll just duplicate this a couple times. How many of them are there? There are, I believe, 8. Let's see, let's go into my folder. Yes, there are 8 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the top one, right? So the first one should have a class of top, and then I'll change the Z index to something really big, like 400, right? And then for all the rest of them, just set display to be none. And then go back to the top and set display to be block, like that. Okay, so this is setting up for animation later, but right now we don't need to worry about that, so I'm just gonna close that up, and I'll drag in another div, and I'll call this vehicle buttons. I will set this to position absolutely, I'll just place it to the bottom right. I will give it some margin, top and the bottom too, and then I will start making my button. So I'll add, where is that button? Am I missing it? Ah, right here. I didn't see that. Put it in vehicle buttons right there. I'll call this outline button, just in case that I need to reuse it later in the future, so I don't have it called something like vehicle button, because I think, yeah, I believe so, we use it later on. See, right here we use the button later on, so it's always important to, you know, maintain uniformity. So yep. Give it some padding, 12 pixels at the top, 12 pixels at the bottom, 20 pixels to the left, 20 pixels to the right. And then what I'll do is give it some margin to the right, 15 pixels. And okay, so I'm gonna change the background color, get rid of this, give it a border instead, and the border is gonna be 2 pixels in black. Change the color to also this dark kind of blackish gray. I'll just do that for the border too. Change the font to Verdana. What is the font here? What does it say? Learn more. So, oh, I'm gonna set this to display now just because it won't allow me to access the button. So I'll change that later. So learn more. And then all I'm gonna do is when you hover on this, I want the border to change. So let me add that. So the border should change the colors to this color. And then I want to change the background color to this. And then that's it. So I'll close that out. And I want to add a transition on the background color. And another one on the border color. Where is that? Right there. Just like that. Then I will make another one of this, right? Except I'll call this second one, I will duplicate the class and I'll call this filled button. Get rid of the margin here to the right and change the text. So build your R1T, right? And then change some of the styles around. So I'll make the background color black. Where's that background color? This black. Make this white. And then when we hover, all I'm gonna do is just change the background color and the border color. Yep, that looks right. So as you hover, it does the same thing. Now I will bring back this Vico card image, set this to display because I'm done messing with the buttons, and all I'm going to do is just copy this entire Vico card. So there's another one. Okay, we'll deal with the images in just a second, so let's set it to display none again. Make that R1S. What's the starting price? 67. No, we don't have to be, change that to R1S, and then I'm just going to show this again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace all the images. So I will click on this element settings, replace image, and I'll just find one. So R1T, R1T, anything that says R1T on it, doesn't really matter which one. I'll go with this one, the green one. And then I'm just gonna keep doing this for all of them. So I'll find this one, anything that isn't. So R1T1, where is that? Because I want to go in order, otherwise I'm gonna forget. R1S1, right? Yeah. R1S1. There we go. I'll actually change this one because this one's the R1T. How did I not see that? Find the green one there. So this is the R1S1. This would be the R1S2. Where's that R1S2? R1S3. R1S4 we've already done, so R1S5. R1S6. R1S7. R1S8. And I think there's one more R1S, so just change that. R1S9 there. Okay, that looks good. Now all that we need to do is the animations. So let me close these up. There. So the first thing, the easier of the animations would be to, of course, change the size when you hover, right? So that's what we're going to work on first. I'm going to select the vehicle card. I will go to my interactions panel and add an animation. I'll call this animation vehicle card hover. Okay, so when we hover, first we're going to go to size, set as initial state, and have this be 50%. Okay, and then we want it to, not opacity, what am I doing? Size, right? And then we want it to be 60%. Just a little bit bigger, maybe 75%. Yep, 65%. So, that's it. That's all we have to do. And then when we hover out, we just have to say vehicle card hover out, and then set it back to its initial state of 50%. I'm just gonna add the same interactions to the second one. Oh, not there. Vehicle card. Does this one have it? Yep. Same thing for this one then. Mouse hover, find the animations, vehicle card, hover out. Okay, now let's try it. So when you hover, yep, that's exactly what we want. I'm also going to set the cursor to pointer when we hover on these. So select vehicle card, scroll down and go to cursor pointer. Let's see now. Yep, that looks good to me. Perfect. Maybe 60% is a bit too much, actually. Let's see. Also, I'm gonna give these vehicle buttons a bigger Z index than the cards. I'll make it like 600 maybe. That way we can actually like hover them when we're doing this. Yeah, okay, there. So I'll go back to I'll click on the vehicle card. Let's make it 60. Okay, now let's try. Yeah, that's way more subtle. Perfect. Okay. Now the next thing that we have to do is the switching cards animation. So here's how we're going to do that. I'm going to first grab this one, the R1S, select the vehicle image card images wrapper, make an animation, and I'll call this right vehicle card images hover. Okay, perfect. There. So I am going to grab the first one, right? Set the go down to hide/show and hit show and set as initial state. And then we begin. Okay, so we're gonna hide this now, and then we're gonna click the next one and show it. And then we're gonna select this image, right? Hide it at the next stop and pull up. Oh, we have to hit only selected element, otherwise it won't work because it's gonna select everything of the same class. So there. Oh, are all of these the same image? Is that what this is? Did I forget to do? Oh, okay. Let's go back and do that first then. So for the first one we obviously have this image, but then for the second one I'm gonna grab another one. So look for R1T2, R1T3 should be somewhere here, R1T4, R1T5, R1T6, R1T7, and finally R1T8. Okay, now let's go back and work on our animation. Rename that. Right. Don't loop. Okay, there. So hide this second one, right? And simultaneously show the third one. So show and only hit selected element. Perfect. Okay, the next time we hide it. So show it here, or no, hide it here. Show here. Okay, hide, right? And then we select the one after that. Show that one. Go to the next one, hit hide there, grab the, which one are we on now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth one. So we're gonna show it, and then on the next one we are going to hide, and then we're gonna select the next one, hit show. Oh, what do we do? So this one we hide the fourth one, show the fifth one. Now we should hide the fifth one, show the sixth one. Then we hide the sixth one. Wait. Then we hide this one, and then we show the next one. Hit selected element, and then we hide this one, and then we show finally the last one, and then we return to the first one. So grab the first one all the way at the top, and then hit show. Perfect. So let's try that again. Let's see. Oh, of course, we have to set a duration for all of them. Okay. Oh, we have to set a delay. So 0.5, 0.5. Sorry, this is gonna be a bit tedious, but it'll pan out, trust me. So 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, because it doesn't like take any time for you to actually hide and show. That would be like changing opacity if you wanted it to like slowly fade in. But that's not what we're trying to do right here. So we're just gonna set a delay between each of them. That way there's like a tiny bit of a pause. Okay, now let's hit preview and look. Perfect, that looks great. Now we're just gonna do the same thing here. So gonna start an animation and I'm gonna call this is right, actually. Wait, how did I name it that wrong? Okay, hopefully some of you guys catched up on that. Here, so this should be called left. Let me try that again. This should be called, okay. Left vehicle hover, right? And then we'll grab, we'll close this out. Then I'm gonna grab this second one, right? And this one should be called right vehicle card images hover. Okay, so again, same thing. Gonna scroll down here, grab the first image, set the set this as initial state, display, grab the second image, right? And select the element. So first you show, right? First we have to hide the first one. So grab the first one, hit hide, grab the second one, hit show. Wait, are these all the same one? No, these are right, these are right. I have to hit selected element, that's why. Okay, so show this one, right? Next one, I'm gonna hide this. Show the next one. Same thing, so hide. Grab the next one. Not size. Am I in the next one yet? Grab the next one. Hit show. And then I'm going to hide this one. Grab the next one. Hit show. Hide. Grab. 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 Show, and then finally grab the first one again, hit show. Perfect. Let's play through that. That was great. Have to do the same thing again, so delay of 0.5, not 5 seconds, that would take forever. 0.5, 0.5. Yeah, so hide and just increase the delay. Let's play through and see. What was that in the middle before this? Let's see. Yep, perfect. Okay, now let's hit and see how it looks like in action. So as you can see, it's cycling through the different things perfectly as it should be. I'm gonna hover over these buttons. Yeah, everything looks good so far. Okay, so that's it for this section. The next thing that we have coming up is this one with the video and this cursor that turns into kind of like this circle. So yeah, that's it. So, last time we stopped off at the vehicle section, so next up we have this video hero section. So there's a background video playing, and as you hover, this kind of cursor shows up. Let's just get right into it. So I'm gonna first drag in a div here, give it a class of vehicle, vehicle hero section wrapper. Or what am I saying? I'm sorry. Ignore everything I've said so far. Video hero section wrapper. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay, video hero section wrapper. And then I am going to give it a width of 100% and a height of, let's see, let's do a height of 100 VH. Okay, scroll down a little bit. So I'm gonna give it a background. This thing. And then just hit cover so that it takes up the entire thing, and that should be good. Okay, so that's for the background. Then I will drag in another div, and I'll call this video hero section. Set the width, or the height actually, to be 100%. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the display to be grid. And actually I'll have it take up 72 pixel columns. 72. I'll just duplicate this until we have enough. I believe we need 16. Actually, that might be too many. Let's see, how many do we need? Let me just look through my notes here. Ah, there should be 16 actually. Oh, okay then. Yeah, so 16, and it should have just one row, so we'll get rid of that. Okay. And actually, I'll go back to my video hero section wrapper and give it a flex so that it's in the center. There. Yep, so now what I'm gonna do is I am going to give it a max width of 1440 pixels. And then I am going to, inside of here, drag in a div. And I will call this video hero background line. So we're making these lines. If you look here, you'll see them in the background. That's what we're trying to do. So let me see. I'll grab this background line. I'll give it a color of white, and I will have it span from column 3 to column 3. Oh, that's not right. No. I take that back. What am I doing? Okay, manual, right? Hit manual. 3 and end at 3. Perfect. I'm gonna give this a width of 1 pixel and a height of 100%. And then I am going to change the opacity so it's kind of like in the background. So maybe like 35%. Yep, like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this a couple times. So make 3 of them. And then the second one is going to go from column, it's going to start at 8 and end at 9. And then this last one is going to start at 15 and end at 15. So start at 9 and end at 9 actually. Yep, so this first one is going to start at 3 and end at 3. This one's going to start at 9 and end at 9. This one's going to start at 15 and end at 15. Okay, perfect. Now I am going to drag in another div. And this will be our actual video. So video hero. This is going to start at column 3 and end at column 15. So it's going to take up a lot of this space. And then what I'm going to do is give it a height of, or a width of 100% and a height of 90%. And then I am going to set the display to be flex vertical like that. I'll pause there for a second. I'll go back to my video hero section and hit center here so that it's in the center. Yep, just like that. Okay. So inside of the video hero, I'm going to drag in yet another div, and I will call this video wrapper. This one's going to have a height of 80% and a width of 100. And then I will also set this to be flex. Okay, and then inside here, I want to drag, or actually, let me see. Where is the video? Background video. So I'm just gonna give this video, background video, class of video, be 100%, and I'll actually upload the video. So I'm gonna hit upload video, and I already have the video in here, so I'm just gonna bring that in. And while that is designing, I'll go back, and the next thing that we have to do is of course putting this text over it. So I am going to drag in a heading, call this video heading, set it to be positioned absolutely because we want it to be in the middle of the video itself, which is still transcoding actually. So while it's doing its thing, I will yep, so that's that. This should say forever. And then I am going to set the font to be Verdana, make it white, increase the size, make it really big, like 88 pixels, 88, not 8. And then what I also need to do is at the top here above, this is the video hero heading, so that I'm just going to drag in another one, call this video hero heading, And then I will change the text around a bit to make it 18 pixels. Change the color, make this also white. Where is that? Roboto mono, like that. Make it normal. And then what I'm going to do is, of course, copy and paste the text. So our contribution to the planet. That. And I'll get rid of this center line. So I'll click back on the video hero, make it align to the left. There. Contribution to the planet. Give it some margin at the bottom, like 30 pixels of margin maybe. And then what we need to do is, of course, get this video, hit the height 100% too. And then I want to, what do I want to do? I want to bring in, let's wait for this video to load. Till then, what we can do is we can add the link at the bottom here. So here's how we'll do that. Close out of this video wrapper for a second. We'll get a paragraph element, or why a paragraph? Let's go get a text link element. And I'll call this video hero link. Okay, so let's go make this link at the bottom down here. So I am going to go down here, find the link block, call this video hero link, set it to be flex but horizontal and centered, and then I am going to position it absolutely because I want it to be all the way at the side of this video hero. So I'll set this video hero to be positioned relatively, and I'll grab the video hero link, push it all the way down, and give it a little bit of space to the right. Okay, inside of here I will drag in some text, call this video hero link text, 16 pixels, Roboto mono again, get rid of that underline. Actually, I have to get rid of the underline on the video hero link block too. So there, get rid of the underline, both of those. And then I will change the color to white. And all it has to say is explore. Okay, I already have a right arrow, so I'm just going to bring that in. And I'll make that's huge, so video hero link icon, make it 20 pixels maybe, 20 pixels. Give it some margin to the left. There we go. Now whenever we hover on this, we just want to have an underline again, an underline, and make that white. Yep, so when we hover, we get that. Perfect. Is the video still working? Why do we not see the video? That's the real question here. Oh, okay. Is it yeah. Okay, so give the video Z index of whatever you feel like. I'll make it 300 because that's the first number I could think of. And then give the video heading a slightly bigger one, so like 400. You could do 301 too if you really want to, but I just like making the numbers big, so yeah. Perfect. Now, the only thing left to do is, of course, the play button. So, I am going to grab a div block. I'll call this video play button. Give it a width of 120 pixels, height of the same. And then I am going to change the background color to this yellow. That, give it a border radius of 50%, so it's always a circle. And then I will set it to be positioned absolutely. And I'll give it an even higher z-index of 600. And then inside of there, I am just going to drag in some text. Call this text video play button text. Set the font to Verdunum, 15 pixels. Change the color. What's the color on here? Black. Okay. Make it this kind of lighter shade of black. I will change the letter spacing. So go to more type options here, and it's just gonna say video. Now for this video play button, just go back in here, set the display to flex, and there, go back to the video play button. Yep, like that. Perfect. Okay, so actually we want the video play button to be inside of the video wrapper, so just drag that back in there. Okay, perfect. Now the next thing that we have to do is, of course, the animation. So I am going to select the video wrapper and go to my interactions panel here, go to mouse hover, start an animation. We're going to call this video hero play button hover. So when we hover on this, we want the play button to, first of all, have an initial scale of 0. So set this to be 0, set as initial state, and then I want to scale it up to 1 in, I think, 0.3 seconds. Let's see, like that. Perfect. And then I'll make another animation on hover out this time, and I'll say video hero play button hover out. And when we hover out, we want the scale of this to go back to 0 in 0.3 seconds. Okay, that's that. Now the next thing we want to do is kind of make this our cursor, right? So when we hover on it, we want to use this to, well, hover over things. So what I'm going to do then is I am going to set yet another animation on the video wrapper, and this time I'll pick mouse move over element. Play mouse animation, and I will call this mouse animation video wrapper play button mouse over. Okay, so first thing I want to do is grab the play button, and then in the mouse X actions, when it's all the way basically, so first I want it to, let me just do it and then I'll explain it. So here, negative 40 VW to positive 40 VW, and then same thing here, so negative 40 VH and 40 VH. So if we turn on live preview and we look at this, right, as our cursor moves around this thing, this what do you call it, this video, you can see that it kind of like changes itself to move with it. So what we are going to do is not that, so let me hit save, or actually this is it. So we're done with doing this, we'll hit save, right? And actually, when let me click on it again, you can see that it's going out of our video wrapper. So we're going to change that right now. So first, we're going to change the mouse resting state. So I'm going to have it start here instead of having it start in the middle here. So that's done. I'll go to my video wrapper and then I'll go to here and hit overflow hidden, and then I'll also scroll all the way down and hit cursor none. That way the only cursor, quote unquote, that we have is this video play button, even though it's not actually like a real cursor. It's just like kind of pretending it is, right? So let's preview that. Let's see. Okay, so the video is playing. That's one good thing. When we hover on this, we see the underline, and then when I bring in my cursor, you can see that it works. That should not be showing, so we're gonna go back. Maybe we're gonna set the overflow hidden on the video hero too. So let me hide that. There, that works. Okay, so now when we hover, as you can see, it's working fine, and I take it out and it's gone. Hover back in, it comes back, and that's looking pretty perfect to me. So we stopped last time by finishing up this video section, right? This one right here. But now we're gonna start building this part, the wayfinding section with these different cards and this circle that kind of animates as you scroll. Okay. So the first thing I'm gonna do is bring in a div. Wayfinding section wrapper. Display flex. Give it some padding on all sides. It's like 60 pixels. And then what I'll do is actually give it some extra padding on the top, maybe like 150. And then I will make the background that same square that we had from before, 60 pixels by 60 pixels for that. Make the background fixed, and then I'll change the color to this kind of beige. Yep, like that. Okay, now inside of this, I am going to drag in another div. Call this one wayfinding section. Okay, so I'm gonna give this the display of grid, and then I will actually change this to 144 pixels, and I'll just duplicate this because I want 6 columns. So duplicate until we have 6. Okay, and then I will change the row, so I'll get rid of this auto, and I need one row to be 500 pixels, and one row to be 350 pixels. Okay, and then I want the max width to be 1024 pixels. So then I'll just center these. Like that. So just distribute and align to the middle. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to do is get in this circle and this image right here. So I'm just going to drag the image inside of here. Okay. And I will give it a class of wayfinding circle. Give it a width of 225 pixels. Position it absolutely. and position it absolutely to the top right. And I should probably set position absolute on the parent too. So position relative onto here, and then position absolute onto the circle. And then I will actually give this negative 15% at the top, and then negative 10% at the right. So that it's a little bit, maybe I'll make that negative 10% too. There. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to do is obviously get these cards in. So I'm going to drag exactly that in. I'll call this wayfinding card. This specific one is going to span from column 1 to 6 and rows 1 to 2, or 1 to 1 actually. Let's go back there. This is going to take up the entirety of it, so wayfinding card percent by 100%, and then I want it to also be flex, right? And I'll have it set to vertical, right? And then I am going to drag in another div inside of here, and I will call this wayfinding card image wrapper, width of 100%, a height of 100%, and I will also actually I'll also drag in the image. So let me go find my image right here. So this is card 1. Drag it inside of this, and I'll call this wayfinding card, or actually not wayfinding card, wayfinding card image 100%. A width of 100%. Okay. And then what I want to do is bring in another div outside of this image wrapper, obviously, and I'll call this wayfinding card text. Give this a max height of 900 pixels actually. Okay, so as you guys can see, the image is kind of like overflowing even though the card is only this big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this wayfinding card image wrapper and just turn off and like hit overflow hidden. That way you can't even see it. Okay, so I'll grab this wayfinding card text, give it a width of 100%, set it to be flex, where'd that go? Width of 100%. Set it to be flex horizontal, give it some margin at the top, some space. And then actually I will drag in a heading into here, and I'll call this wayfinding card heading. Get rid of this margin actually, because I don't want it, and I will basically just change the font, make it 22 pixels, get rid of the bolding kind of, yep. Just call this spaces. That's what it says, right? I don't want to get that wrong. Yep, spaces. And then I am going to drag in a paragraph, and I'll give this paragraph a text of wayfinding card para, and the text is actually very small, so let me just building places together, get rid of the margin again, yep, just select that, And I will change the font, so Roboto Mono, and maybe make it 16 pixels. No, that's fine. 14 is fine, and just make it that dark black that we have again here. And okay, so now what I'm going to do is select the wayfinding card text again, center this flex thing, and just set it, we can leave it at the same justify to the start. I'll give some space here, so maybe like 15 pixels of margin to the left and some 10 pixels at the top, just so it's a little bit lower, as you can see, a little bit lower than the spaces. Okay, now the next thing that we have to do is get this arrow. So let me just grab that, because that is also an image. So here, put this inside the text, and I'm going to call this hover card arrow and not wayfinding card arrow, because I'm going to use it later, so I'm just going to call it hover arrow actually. Rename hover arrow. I will give it an opacity of 0 because I don't want to see it, but before that, I'm actually going to give it maybe like 20 pixels in size. 25. Okay, 25 it is. And I will position it all the way absolute. Select the wayfinding card text, give that a positioning of relative. And put this all the way at the bottom right. And just give it some margin bottom and some margin to the right. Okay, there. Maybe like 7 pixels margin to the right. And then I just have to get rid of the opacity fully so that when we hover it shows up and not now. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm just gonna copy this a couple times because we do have 3 of them, right? So I'm gonna select the second one, go from columns 1, 2, 3, and rows 2, 2, 2. Grab the last one, that goes from columns 3 to, or is it 4 to 6? Yep, and then rows 2 through 2. Now I just have to change the images in here, so get rid of this one. Grab the second image, which I think is this one. Yeah, this is probably the second image. Wayfinding card, there. Wayfinding card image. We can actually just click this cog and change it from there. This is card 3, and then actually the first one should be replaced. It should actually be this image for the first one. Yep, like that. Okay, so that's good. Yes, okay, so now that that's done, we can just change the text that says membership, connect and enjoy benefits. So membership, connect and enjoy, can't spell today, enjoy benefits. And the last one is gear shop, goods for you and your vehicle. So gear shop, goods for you and your vehicle. There, done. Now we just have to make the animation. So that's what I'm going to do. I am going to close these out for now. And first we can just do the simple animation, which is of course this circle. So select the wayfinding section wrapper, go to the interactions panel, hit while scrolling in view, and we'll call this wayfinding section circle rotate, because that's what it's doing. So wayfinding section circle rotate. Okay, So select the circle, and in the starting at 0%, I want it to have rotated nothing, so 0 degrees. And then at the end, I want it to have rotated 360 degrees. So if we live preview that, yep, it's rotating just as we wanted it to. Maybe we can even increase it, so maybe make it 720. Now it'll rotate a little bit faster. Okay, yeah, you can mess with that and kind of see. Yep, and okay, perfect. That's that. Now the second animation that we want to do is when we hover on this, we want the text to kind of go, we want the image to kind of expand, and then we also want this hover kind of card to come in, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to select the wayfinding card, any of them. I'll start with the first one just because. And I will set a mouse hover on it. Okay, when we hover on this, what I want to do is basically I want to call this wayfinding card hover arrow. Okay, select the actual hover arrow, where that is, there. Select move, and I actually want to move it a little bit, so -30 pixels. This is the initial state, right? And then I also want the opacity to be 0 in the initial state. And then next I want to move it back to its original spot, so 0 pixels, right, where it was before, and then make the opacity 100. I'm gonna make it 0.4 seconds. You can change it to whatever you'd like. Let's see. Yep, that looks good to me. And then while that's happening, we also want to select the wayfinding card image and just scale it. So scale it maybe to like 1.1. Yep, that's it. Even that actually seems like too much. 1.05 maybe. 0.5, like that. Yep. Okay, now let's test it out. We just have to add the same interaction to all of them, but what I'm also going to do is select the wayfinding card, scroll down, and hit cursor pointer, and now let's just add the same interactions to all of them. So mouse hover, wayfinding card, oh, not that, wayfinding card hover arrow, same thing for this one, wayfinding card hover arrow. Now let's see. Oh, okay, so there we see our problem. When we hover out, we want it to go back to how it was before. So what we're going to do is we're going to set on hover out. We will make another animation. We'll call this wayfinding card hover arrow out. There. Now what I want to do when I hover out is I'm going to select my hover arrow. I will just set the opacity back down to 0 on the hover card, and I will move it back -30 pixels. So x -30, 0.4 seconds, 0.4 seconds here as well. .4 seconds here as well. And then we also want to select the image and have this scale back down to 1 and 0.4 seconds as well. Okay, so let's save that. Let's do it for all the cards. Wayfinding card hover arrow out. Same thing for this one. And then let's go see. Yep, this is perfect. Does exactly what we wanted to do. Okay, that's done. Let's check out the circle animation too. So let's slowly scroll down, and as you can see, the circle is animating when we hover on this. Perfect. Okay, so that's it for this section. Next up, we're going to be making this part of the website. Okay, so last time we stopped at this section, but today now actually, we're going to be building this part. So as you can see, when you hover, everything else just fades out. And these images change, and yep, okay. So let me start by dragging in a div block. Call this stories section. Give it a height of 80 VH. Set flex on it and justify to the end. I am also going to give it a background of this of these what do you call them? These squares that we've been using a lot lately. That's not working for some reason. There. 60 pixels by 60 pixels. Have them be fixed in the center there. I will also give it a background color. There. Okay, so then I want to bring in a div block. I'm gonna call this stories text. Set the flex direction to be vertical and align to the left, because that's how we see it in here. And then I am going to give it a width of 40% and a height of 100%. We'll drag in a heading right here. Gonna give this a class of stories text heading. Give it some margin at the bottom, maybe 40 pixels. Change the size and the color, so make it that dark, kind of almost black. And I will also make it 40 pixels and leave it bold actually. So latest stories. There. Then I am going to drag in a link block, and I will give this link block a class of stories text story, which is a repetitive name, but that's okay. Give it some margin at the bottom, 50 pixels, just because we have 3 of them, so we're just going to give each of them some margin, that way there's some separation, so 50 pixels. And then inside of here I will drag in a paragraph, and I will give this paragraph just this. Click on the stories text story again actually, and get rid of this text decoration there, and make the color black just in there so we don't have to repeat it. But here, so in here we will just call this stories text story num. Oh, sorry, Roboto Mono first, and then I will make the font a little bit lighter. The font weight a little bit lighter, make it a bit bigger, 18 pixels, and change the color to this. Then I will just bring in another paragraph. I'll call this one stories text para. change the font to Verdana again. Verdana, potato. Change the text colors to 2424. Make the size 22 pixels and increase the height to make it 25. Copy this. And then finally, I am going to go find the hover card that we had previously. Just copy that and bring it into this story's text story. Okay, there. And then what I'm going to do is just make 3 of these, because we have 3 of them. So 1, 2. The second one is 0, 1. Just gonna copy the text if it'll let me do that. There. Technology with headroom, and just make this last one 0, 3. Grab the final text, paste it in, and perfect. Okay, so now that we have all the text there, all we need is actually this button. So if we scroll back up here, we see that we made a button here. It's just gonna copy that and go all the way down and paste it into our stories text, just like that. Now here, I'm just gonna change the text. So I'll make it view all, I believe is the text. Yeah, view all. And I'll give it a combo class of stories section, and I'll just make it a bit bigger. Sorry, I should give it a different combo class of stories section button. And then I will actually make it take up 50% of the width and have it be centered like that. Okay, so that's the text. So let me just close up all these other ones. Okay, so close up the text, and then I'll bring in another div, and I'll give this one a class of stories images. Give it a width of 45%, a height of 100%, and okay, that's good. I will bring in a div inside of the stories images, give it a class of stories image first, and then I will width and height of 100%, and then I will bring in a background image of this, hit cover and center it. Perfect. Okay, now I'll just make more of these, and I will duplicate this class and call it stories image, and do the same thing to this one. Or actually, I should get rid of this class and give it one a stories image. I'll give this second image right here a combo class of 2, and then I will change the background image to the second one. Hit cover, center this one, do the same thing to this one, give it a combo class of 3. Get rid of this, find step 3, hit cover. Okay, perfect. Now I just have to give all of these a set the position to be absolute. So stories image will be absolute. All of them will be absolute. Okay, and then I'll just set stories images to be positioned relatively. That way these are all positioned inside of that. Or they should be. Oh, there. Positioned absolutely. Why is that not working? Is this one positioned absolutely? Yep, there. Okay, so now that they're all positioned absolutely, I need to lower the opacity of this one and this one so that only stories image first is visible. Okay, There. So when we hover, nothing happens. Okay, this is how it should be. Now, we have to do our animations. So I will click or make an animation, stories text story. And I will mouse hover, select animation, and I will call this stories text story arrow hover. There. Okay, so when I hover on this, first of all, I want this text story, if you see here, the opacity of everything else except for this one goes down to 0, so that's what we want. So here's how we do that. I'm going to set the opacity of the interaction trigger to be 100%, right? And then I will select something else, so this the second one, and I will set that to have an opacity of 0, or not 0, 30%. Okay. Now we have to do the actual, what do you call it, the hover arrow. So if we click on this, you see that it takes us like all the way up here, and that's because the stories text story does not have a positioning of relative. Let's go set that. Now if we go back and we click on hover arrow, we can see that it's right there. Okay, so I will make another thing. So opacity set as initial state 0, and then we want the opacity to be 100, and then we also want to move it 50 pixels to the right. So I'll just place the move and the opacity after this. There. Now let's see. That's what we want. Perfect. Okay, so let's just apply the same animation on all of them. So mouse hover. This one, same thing for this last one. And done. Okay, so let's try this. Perfect. Exactly what we want to happen. Okay, and the only thing left to do is obviously when we hover back out, we want it to return to its original state, right? So here's how we do that. Basically, let's go back to the first one, or whichever one, but I'll pick the first one, and then I'll do stories text story hover out. Okay, now for this hover out, what I want to do is I'm going to grab the stories text story, all the classes, and we just give it an opacity of 100. And then what we want to do is bring back the hover arrow to the state that it was in before. So we want it to move back to its original spot, so 0 pixels. That should not be stories text story, that should be hover arrow. And then we also want the opacity to be back down to 0. Okay, so then select the stories text story, have that opacity back up to 100. Why is that not working? Okay, let's get rid of all of them and let's start over again. So stories text story, have opacity of 100, right? Now let's select the hover arrow. This should have an opacity of 0, as well as it should have moved back to its original spot, so 0. And we just have to change this from interaction trigger to class. So if we hit save now and apply that to all of them, so on hover out, need to change that name, should be arrow, oh, not even arrow, actually, let's go back. It should just be stories, text, story, hover. There, hover out, and then do the same thing for this one. Hover out. Both of them have that. Okay, perfect. Let's see now. Yep, as you hover out, it goes away. Perfect. Just how we wanted it. Okay. Now, all we want is to have the images change as we change this. So, here's how we do that. Basically, what we have to do is make, just like we did for the navbar actually, make a new animation for each of them. So, I will make another trigger on mouse hover again, and I will start an animation, and I'll call this stories, that's not right, stories, text, story, image hover. Or, I should not be spending this much time talking. Okay, here. So stories, it's fine. Okay, here. Stories, text, stories, text, story, image, hover 1, because there are going to be 3 of them, so it's important to make that number distinction. Okay, so when you hover on this first one, I want the first image to be fully visible, so opacity 100. There, done. Now we just have to keep doing this for the rest of them. So when we select the second one, we'll add another interaction trigger, and we'll call this stories, text, story, image, hover 2. And then we just grab the second image, make sure we hit selected element, and then just hit opacity 100. And then the last one, so we are going to hit stories, text, story, image, hover. Did I spell that wrong? 3. There, that's good enough. Grab the last image, bring that up to an opacity of 100, and hit selected element. There. So let's go try this out. That works, and that works, but it's not exactly... Okay, so there. So when we hover back out, it has to go back to the original one, but it's just staying on this. So first, let's fix that. Okay, so this one, and we'll just call this stories, text, story, image, hover out. And then for this one, we just want the first image to return back up. We have to set that for all of them. So on hover out that, do that for the second one. Just like that, and then for the last one as well. Let's see now. It's not hovering at all. Oh, that doesn't work either. Why not? Okay. Oh, okay. I know why. Okay. So when we hover out, we're going to select anything with the class of stories image, and we'll bring that back down to an opacity of 0. So just select stories image and anything, so without the combo class, right? And bring that back down to 0, and then that should work. Okay, so try now. And then when we hover back out, it goes back out. Okay, just like that. Okay, So that was this section. As you can see, we can hover, and these different images show up, quite similar to the ones we made in the navbar. Everything else kind of grays out. So yeah, that's this section. We only have... So that is the section. I hope you guys enjoy this part. So we ended last time by finishing up this story section, but now we're gonna start this footer. So there are a couple links here, some tiny like legal font, and these images. So here's how we're gonna do that. I'm gonna drag in a div block, give this a class of footer, set the flex box, give it some padding at the top, and on all sides, actually 60 pixels padding on all sides. And then I will drag in another div inside of here. I'm gonna call this footer links wrapper. Give it a width of 100%, some margin at the bottom, not padding, margin, so 45 pixels margin at the bottom, and display flex. Horizontal is fine, and yep, that's okay. Then I'm gonna drag in a list element, put that inside of here, and I'll call this footer links. I'll give it some margin at the right of 5% and a width of 18%. Then I will hit no bullets in here so that we get rid of those. Yep, just like that. And then I will give these list items a class, so footer link type 1, because there are going to be two types of link. If we switch back to here, there's this bigger kind and the smaller kind. Oh, I almost forgot, I have to give this a background color. So let me just go back to my footer element, scroll down, and give it a background color of this brown. Okay, now I will take this footer link type 1 and I am going to give it some margin to the right, and then I will change the font, Verdana 24 pixels. Let me put some text in so we can see what's going on. What does it say? R1T. Okay, so R1T. This one says R1S. This one says Gear Shop. So let me just give all these the same class. So actually, there, make 3 of them, and then I'll call this one the R1S, and then Gear Shop. Okay, so it should have a color of white, and then I'll give it some margin at the bottom of also 40 pixels. Maybe, yeah, 40, not 50. Yeah, that looks right. Get rid of this margin to the right then. Just make it 40 pixels at the bottom. Okay. Now I am just going to make another one of these. This one is going to be called Fleet. Our Company and Stories. Our Company and Stories. And then I'm going to make another one for this second type of link, and I will get rid of all these except for one. I will hit duplicate class, and I'll call this footer link type 2. I'm going to change the font, actually, make it Roboto Mono. Make the font size 14 pixels. Make the font weight 300, so it's a little bit lighter. And how many of them are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 of them. 5. And we should get rid of that that margin bottom. It shouldn't be 45. This time we'll make it 20 maybe. 25. 25 looks good to me. Okay. Purchasing, charging, membership, insurance, and service. Actually, we don't even have to do this. It doesn't really matter. This text is just there for placeholders. God, I cannot speak today. Okay, so there. That's good. Perfect. And okay, so the next thing that we want to do is the social icons. So I'm gonna grab a div block, call this footer socials, display flex, and justify to the end like that. Give it a width of 100% and some margin bottom of 50 pixels. And then inside here, I am just gonna drag in these images, footer socials, all of them. Okay, footer social logo, 30 pixels. Oh, go back to footer socials and hit align center like that. Okay, footer socials, make it 30 pixels, 35 maybe. Give it some margin on the right like that. To this, give this the same class, footer social logo. Same thing for this one, footer social logo, and last but not least this one. Okay, done. Then what I want to do is close this one out. This is going to be our last div block. I'm going to call this footer legal. Display flex. This should also, this will be justified to the left and align center. Give this one also a width of 100%. And then I am going to drag in a paragraph element. I'm going to call this footer legal text. 10 pixels. Make the font Roboto. Make it white so we can actually see it. Make it lighter. Like that. And let's see, what does it say here? Just copy and paste this text in here. Terms, privacy, and legal. Terms, privacy, and finally legal. I'm going to give it some margin to the right, 50 pixels, 50. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the footer section. And that completes our entire website. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video that kind of explored how to do the Rivian homepage in Webflow. I hope you guys learned something and made this website along with me. So yeah, be sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram. Link is in the description, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.